Hi, my name is Francis Fox, and I'm a metaphysician, trained remote viewer. All my psychic skills are developed, honed. I worked with different shamans across the world. A lot of interesting experiences, a lot of stories I still can't tell yet, but I will eventually. What am I doing with the skills that I acquired under very difficult conditions? I'm applying them to what I think is important in life, which is for everybody to have a life with less anguish, that everything be easier, more simple, that we not suffer as much, particularly about our loved ones. Bank accounts are important too. I emphasize prosperity a lot. But first comes family, loved ones, and then after that, the prosperity. So, the title of today's chat is A New World. We have entered a new stage on planet Earth. So it's a new Earth, it's a new world. We may already have separated from the worst of the old world. With the ascension process, we may have separated. In order for you to understand that, I have to explain what it is that apparently happened in Atlantis. In Atlantis, they developed technology at a very high level and they had a lot of help from ETs. Oh, that's what Elon Musk needs to do. He needs to get over his resistance to the whole ET thing, and he needs to get buddy buddy with them, and they can help him. Um, but anyway, that's just an aside from a very ADD psychic. So, in Atlantis, they had help from ETs. The problem was that they did not pay attention to what the consequences of the technology were in humans. They did not take into consequences ethics. They were very competitive, and from what I could see, they weren't oriented towards like prosperity. They were very oriented towards achievement and competing with each other. But it didn't appear, all the readings that I've done, that it had to do with money or material objects. It appears that they like to live, it appears to me, I could be wrong, they like to live very simply. But they were addicted to technology and they kept going. And that gap between the technological development and the ethics is what caused whoever makes those level decisions. Atlantis needed to go under. They couldn't continue. The whole planet was going to get lost in the process of them seeking even more technology without paying attention to consequences. So, anyway, when Atlantis went over, there were explosions, whatever, and a lot of people kind of like floated up into what appeared to be like a cloud-like thing, but that when you look at it, apparently it was like a spaceship. And of course, that sounds ludicrous, but a lot of people have said that, and I saw it. I saw it when I read past lives for people. Okay, from that vantage point, the ones that were leaving could see what was happening on planet Earth to Atlantis, and some of them were very unhappy because they were leaving behind loved ones. What the dolphins explained to me before that, see, here we go with I don't have a cold, I don't take cocaine, but when I start to give my chats, this area, which has a lot of portals, starts to give me. The dolphins explained to me, said that human beings would be evolving and ascending, and catastrophes would be part of the process. And they said there's a whole group that will go first. That's in the Bible. The Mayans said it also. Of course, I was uncomfortable. The people that get left behind. And the dolphin said, the ones that leave won't remember. And I think that's already happening now. But I could be wrong. So I share it with you, and you should pay attention. I think we already made a big part of the ascension process when I did the sketches you could see a person and then several bodies that came from that person that were going up into a hole, which was like a portal. So I think that this is, my mind is going, somebody's doing something. My mind is like, whoop. I think we have already ascended, and ascension is not like 1, 2. And it's not like you're here and you go up 10 steps. It's a process and it's in pieces. And I think we already did a big piece of it. And I think that the bad stuff, we're going to start forgetting it. And the bad people are going to kind of like just like melt into the background. Now I can feel it already happening. I can be wrong, which is why I'm saying it, so that you guys can share or think about it when it's happening. If it's happening and you go, that's what she was talking about. And you could get back to me and say, I think you're right. So the world is going to be a very, very different place, and the values are going to be very different. Now, what we noticed in all the sketches that I'm doing is that the third eye, which is wisdom, knowledge, superpowers, being able to know everything past, present, and future, that's what's really important at this point, which is why I say stick around, because I have the power of induction, and your third eye will be induced to open up more all the time that you're in my presence, and you keep that. You could slip back a little bit if you don't come to my chats anymore, but basically you get a nice push forward having to do with that. So we have the third eye, which has to do with psychic abilities and intuition, past, present, future, memory. What is life going to be like when everybody's intuitive? Well, many years ago, I lived in a building. I had the penthouse. Don't worry about it. It wasn't that big a deal. It was a 4-story building. Penthouse is what? Okay, it was a top apartment, but they called it the penthouse. Okay, great. And I had a really big terrace that was half of the roof of the building. It was ridiculous. The design was great, but it was also ridiculous. So anyway, they forgot to waterproof the roof, which means that I had 1,000 feet of patio upstairs in my penthouse that was not waterproof. So now, why am I telling this story? Something's going on. Somebody's fiddling with me. Let me grab that thread and get back here. So anyway, there was obviously a hearing at the city of Coral Gables about a building. They forgot to waterproof the roof, and I had 1,000 feet of it, but it wasn't me. It was the whole building was an issue. So I went to the meeting at the city hall, and people would get up and talk, and there was somebody who was being charged with some kind of violation. So he got up with his wife, nice looking couple, decent looking people, and he started to defend himself. And he sounded really reasonable, except that from his mouth, everything was black that was coming out, the energy. And I went, oh my God, that man is lying. Oh my God, he's lying. Because of the color of the energy. I had not seen that before. This was years ago. In the future, everybody's going to be able to see that. Today, the kids can probably see that, but they haven't been trained. They don't know, and they've been told to be quiet and no, you didn't see that. In the future, everybody's going to know everything. So how is that going to change things? People aren't going to get away with lying. But I think it's going to be really, really good, because the first energy center, this one that opens up to galactic, which is why we have so many problems, because we get invaded, is called, it's the center of truth. When you don't speak the truth, this gets broken, which means your portal's here. This is a portal, 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 and there's another one here, the really big one. Portal is there. All of those portals become weak because you lied. Now, why did you lie? Well, let's say you're a Libra, reasonable, diplomatic. Why would you tell that person the truth? It's just going to upset him. Just tell him it's okay that you didn't notice. Oh, I didn't notice that you did to me. Yeah, I did notice it. No, but you tell him you didn't notice. It's okay. No, it's not okay. You just said a lie. When somebody asks you how you're doing and you're ready to slit your wrist and you go, no, everything's fine, you are hurting this energy center. You lied. Well, but that's a social lie. Yes, it is. It's still a lie. Okay. But the important thing is that this energy center, you're killing it because you lied. No, we've trained. No, we've not just been trained. We are obligated to lie. In the future, we're not going to be able to lie because everybody's going to know it. Look, she's lying. I mean, did you think that we weren't going to notice that? So it's going to be really, really different. And people that end up coupling up and then one of them is not really happy, they're not going to be able to stay because they're not going to be able to lie because everybody's going to see it. So issues that we have kept under wraps, which really mean we stick it in our body, okay? It's not a literal closet and it makes us sick. Those issues are going to get addressed more quickly. Mothers have very highly developed intuition. They've done studies on that, but you and I know that. Why? Because they have kids. And because it doesn't really matter what the test says from the doctor, what the doctor said, or what society says. The mother looks at their kid and goes, there's something the matter. There's nothing the matter. Yes, there's something the matter. The tests say, I don't care what the tests say, there's something the matter. That everybody's going to do that. Everybody's going to be able to know what's going on. And that truth is going to be very, very good for everyone. I had somebody once say to me that if they had to really get in contact with the fact that what they paid the people that work for them, how they could live on that, if they actually got in contact, that they'd have to sell their business. So what they do is they don't get in contact with that. But that's there, and that's probably killing them, and they don't really know it. So we've been trained and taught to put lies away, but it catches up with us. I did a lot of studies on Alzheimer's years ago, and it was very interesting. Alzheimer's is a person who's a liar. What do you mean? What do I mean? Alzheimer's is a person who, and I have a whole article on it and you'll look at it and you'll go, that makes sense. On my website. Yes, I know my website's a mess, but the article's still there. Alzheimer's is a person. The person who gets Alzheimer's is a person who is not happy with something important in their life. Usually a marriage, relationship, or like a job, like a family business that they're running. It's not just like a job. But they know that if they try to create a change, it's going to make people unhappy, and they love their family, they love their people. They don't want to make them unhappy. So what they do is this unhappiness and how they feel, they put it in their heads in a little box. And the years go by. And that little box gets sick. The mind streams get all wet. And when they have done surgery, autopsies on people with Alzheimer's, what I see in an Alzheimer's patient is what the medical doctors say they find in them. There's concentrations of mind streams that are all wet. They're like tangles. I don't know what they call them, but there's a word for it. That's exactly, it's the mind streams are all tangled and held here because they can't release that truth because it's going to make the people that they love unhappy. So in the future, we won't have that because people are going to be able to see that that person is unhappy and they're going to say, listen, mom, we know you love our dad, but we know that you're not like in love anymore and you have so many things that you would like to do and can do. And you're staying just to take care of dad and so you don't upset us. You know what? We need for you to take care of yourself because eventually, and it's true, the Alzheimer patient eventually takes down the whole family. They get Alzheimer's because they don't want to rock the boat. But it's not don't rock the boat like, oh, I don't want to rock. It's like, I don't want to upset my wife, or I don't want to upset my husband. I don't want to upset the kids, or I don't want to upset my uncle who gave me this company and I'm supposed to be running it, except I can't stand it. Or I don't want to upset everybody. Their lives depend on me. That's how I stayed at the store longer than maybe I should have, because I had a lot of older people that worked for me, and they worked for me for a long time. And if I left, I didn't think that anybody new would go ahead and continue to keep them, even though they were very good. So there's going to be diseases that aren't going to exist now that I think about it. Cancer is a disease which is repressed rage together with impotence. It's not just rage. You have to feel impotent. And it generally has to do with the situation with somebody that you love. Because if not, you do something about it. But if somebody that you love does something that makes you crazy, but you really can't do anything because it's your mother, your aunt, your cousin, whatever, that's when you can end. And then you go ahead and you swallow it and you get cancer 24 to 27 months later. Well, that's not going to happen either in a new world where everyone is allowed to express themselves truthfully, and the third eye is going to deliver all of this information. And if they try not to live truthfully, it's going to show all over the place, and people are going to say, what's the matter with you? You think we don't notice? That's going to be really good. And it's only in talking to you now that I realize the cause for disease in a very big way is going to be gone. We hide our reaction to things in our bodies. These wrinkles, I said 10 years ago, I'm not going to get injected with anything. I'm not doing surgery. I'm going to get it figured out. Those are from my memory of something, and I'm going to find it. And it's so much better because I did find the memories. And it was self-hatred at myself, which is why I couldn't find it. Because I wanted to blame somebody else for whatever. I didn't know what it was. So I was hiding that same hatred above my lips, which is where resentment is held in almost all humans. So many things are going to be different, and they're going to be so much better in this new earth. Well, the big problem is that the old earth and the old world has to collapse, which is what it's doing today. But I'm giving you this information because we're going to a good place. It's actually called the Golden Age. And everybody's predicted it's going to be great. It's the in between that's a little bit problematic. But if you align with what you love in terms of your mission, it's so much easier. The mantra for that is, please God help me with my intention to align with my prosperous mission. That is the mantra that creates the biggest change in the shortest time. You can be miserably unhappy with your job, but you don't think you're ever going to get out of there. You do the mantra 10, 15 times, all of a sudden, you can go back to work and it's okay. Because you have this feeling, I got the hiccups, sorry. There's something that just settles in you, that petition of aligning with your prosperous mission, that it's okay that I have to continue to do this for a while longer because I'm not going to be here forever. So to get through this time, you got to love what you're doing. And then we go to the whole lying thing. Oh, I love what I'm doing. Well, how come you get sick every Monday morning or every Sunday night? You don't want to go to work. Oh, I really like that. I told you about my husband. Sunday nights, he would go into a deep depression. And he liked his job, supposedly. But why would he get so depressed? And there's the whole thing with the lying. Thinking about it now, this is going to be a really good thing. It's not going to be a good thing for people who are going to defend their self-esteem and say, oh no, I'm fine. And everybody's looking at him and going, you're not fine. Yes, I am fine. I said I was fine. I got everything under control. Well, but it's showing all over the place that you're not fine. Now, years ago, people worked at companies for 40 years, and at 40 years, they gave them a retirement dinner and a watch. These are the people higher up in the hierarchy. And the other people lower down, they retired and, people gave them a little party, or they didn't give them anything at all. They would just say, God, you're lucky. You're already retired. You got your check coming. Nobody can stay at their job today 40 years. What are you, crazy? We're different. We're different. We have to handle people differently. Look at the companies, they're trying to hire people, and they actually give classes to managers on how to handle young people, because the young people, if you don't handle them right, you can't get an hour's worth of work out of them. What's that all about? They are too tired. Technology, the radiation from technology exhausts. It also affects your immune system. Years ago, you know what? Sometimes I don't listen. And I know my kids have told me that forever. Years ago, I was looking for a homeopathic remedy for radiation issues. And the 2 Indian doctors I talked to said, this is the remedy for the immune system. And I said, that's fine, except I am looking for the remedy for radiation issues. And they went, this is the remedy for the immune system. Hello, I said I wanted the remedy for radiation, like from cell phones and computers. This is the remedy for the immune system. Okay, they don't get it. It must be a language thing. No, it wasn't a language thing. It was me. Radiation affects your immune system, the entire system. I wasn't listening. So if you want a remedy because you're exhausted and you work with a lot of radiating devices, then this is the homeopathy. I don't remember the name. But if enough of you are interested, I'll stand up and I'll go and I'll get it and I'll show it to you. It's for the immune system. So not listening, not understanding, all those things get easier when your intuition is developed. All those things get easier when you can actually say what it is you want to say, but you don't say it because you don't want to upset the person. Because I could have said to them, listen, you're not listening to me. I just said, and I didn't say that. I just asked the same question 3 times. They answered the same question 3 times. We parted ways. We never did business because, in my opinion, obviously they didn't have the answer. In their opinion, it was probably I was a very stupid American woman who couldn't listen. All of those things people are going to say the truth. That is a good world. I have actually 2 people who have introduced me to other people and said, oh, yeah, she's a psychic, but don't ask her a question unless you really want to know the answer. And it's true, because of my training with military and all the rest of that, I was trained. I couldn't mess around with my answers. And a lot of people would say, I don't like that you're doing. I said, but you like that you got so much better and it fixed it. Yeah, but I don't like the way you did it. And I'll go, maybe the way I did it is the reason why it works so well. I think maybe I needed to have modified the way I delivered information in terms of language. But basically, my training was, if this is what it is, this is what it is. Don't fix it. And the biggest example I have of that, of being truthful and it not working, but in the future it's going to work, was when I started first to get together with New Agers. And they were so happy at what a great psychic I was, but they didn't like the information I brought back. And they would ask me to read things when they gave classes, and they'd ask a question, and I would respond. They would not like the answer. What's the matter with her leg? You're asking that question? Okay. She's got a spirit attached to the knee. What? Actually, if the leg is bad, you do have a spirit. You don't need a psychic to tell you. Anything that's bad in a human has a spirit attached, including wrinkles. No, but we just asked you what's the matter with her. I mean, is this an issue with her father? Well, I don't know. Yes, you're right. It's an issue with her father, but she's got a spirit attached. She needs to get the spirit. They didn't like it. The truth, the truth. When everybody is psychic, the corporations can't pull the wool over our eyes, and they're not going to even try to do it. I'm not sure. Well, first of all, I'm not sure corporations are going to make it, but you're not going to be able to pull the wool over people's eyes, because if the father or the mother don't go, hey, come on, we can see what's going on, the kid is going to say, Mom, can't you tell that he's lying? Which is what, when I was young, my stepmother used to turn to me sometimes and look at me and say, what do you think? And I was a kid, and she did not like me. But she knew also could say, what do you think? Oh, okay. And she would go with it. She came to trust my intuition. So in the future, when everybody is intuitive, which is obviously going to happen, because if not, I wouldn't be drawing those third eyes so big in everybody, more and more and more as the weeks go by, everything's going to be different. It's going to be better. And the truth shall set you free. So I'm going to get into another subject, which is not part of the new earth. It's really part of the old earth where we're at now. Now Japan is getting into dating. Dating, dating, like going out with somebody that you might have sex with. They're getting into dating, into Japanese dating. I don't know what it is that they think they're going to be doing as a government mandating, but they're going to be left with no population because the birth rate has taken a dramatic nosedive, and so the country will have no relevance anymore because it would just be old people. And you need the younger people because they're the ones that work and they put money into the government, and the older people take it out as retirement, and it's a system broken. But it didn't break now. 10 years ago, 12 years ago, I was obsessed with the decline in sex drive. And I did research and I wrote all about el gran apagón, which means the big turnoff. And I said, sex drive is just completely turned off. Francis, give it a break. No, it hasn't. I'm telling you, I can see it. It has. So I wrote a book called Sex, the Path to God. By the way, orgasm is spiritual ecstasy, so it's pretty important, but that wasn't my point. My point was, as I've said to you before, I'm a psychic. So before, in the 90s, 2000, what's my boyfriend doing? What's my husband doing? What's my girlfriend doing? All this stuff that revolves around sex make me crazy. It's not a subject that I want to get into. The human relations having to do with sex is very complicated. And if you're psychic and you like to be accurate, don't get near that, because the chances are you're going to be inaccurate because people are nuts. So you tell them, oh, he's not going to do this, she's going to do that. And they do the opposite. And then you're sitting there going, I'm a good psychic. What the heck happened here? Emotions. So anyway, I wrote a lot about sex. I wrote a book with two other women about sex. And I did some research. The country that had kind of like the lowest sex drive was Japan. How did they know that? How do they do that statistically? Sales of condoms. When I saw that, I went, wow, makes sense. Also, they had at that time, 20, 30 years ago, they had a new group of men that were called not carnivorous, that they eat meat, but herbivorous, something like that. I'm not pronouncing it, where they just eat grass. And these were the men, and they were gentle and they were not masculine. They were not interested in sex. They just sit at home and get together with a couple of people and whatever. And I was trying to ring the bell of, guys, we have a problem here. And I wasn't even thinking about population collapse. I just, for whatever reason, I recognized that sex is very important in human development. And nobody was getting it. People stopped asking me and other psychics about sex. They stopped because they weren't having any, they weren't that interested. And now we get to the point in terms of population collapse. What I established, and I know that I'm accurate, is that you really cannot put your cell phone near your private parts if you're a man and expect your private parts to work. You cannot be texting and have your cell phone in your pocket or in your purse right next to your second chakra as a female and expect to continue to have sex drive. It's not going to happen. Everything wireless radiates microwave. You are microwaving your private parts. You're microwaving the part of you that has sex drive and that procreates. It's also the part of us that's sacred, sacral chakra, and it has to do with freedom, which nobody feels free anymore. Never had associated that. It's another interesting connection. So the whole thing with population collapse, this is the end of what started before, and in my opinion, and I'm sure I'm right, has to do with the fact that we have not been kind to the part of our body that actually would be interested in having sex or would have the ability to have sex. The whole rise in addiction to pornography has to do with pornography is like putting your finger in an electrical socket and stimulating yourself, and all of a sudden you feel all this sexuality. And if you're not looking at the pornography, you don't feel that energy. That's not good, obviously. And the addiction to it basically kills a lot of, in my opinion, uh, your ability to have sex under normal conditions without those images and movies. And it's not that I'm against pornography per se, but if you have a hard time being stimulated sexually and pornography can help you, you will have a tendency to get addicted. I don't know what's going to happen with that having to do with the new earth. But maybe with this new earth, we will be more aware of what technology does to us. And in that process, maybe our bodies can be healthier. Because as those poor Indian doctors tried to tell me in their own very elegant and soft way, if you have radiation issues, your immune system is compromised. And I don't know of anybody today who lives a modern life that doesn't have radiation issues. They just don't know it. The exhaustion that they have, the ill humor, the lack of attention, the needing to be overstimulated is all from the technology, from the Wi-Fi, which is microwave. That zap, need that zap. Anyway, I think just collecting this information in my mind to share it with you helps me to see the process of from where we were, which is not where we're at now, and where we're going. Where we're at now, I think it's going to be several weeks before we can really assess to what extent the ascension process has helped us. And I think it's not going to be so bad. And because our mind creates our reality, if we can dedicate a part of our day, not necessarily all at once, but in pieces, to the creation of reality with mantras and visualizations. And you can do the vision boards if you want. They're a very good idea also. I think we may be coming into a much nicer time than we think. And we won't just be trying to stop things from collapsing. We can kind of know what it is that's going to be better for us, and we can start reaching out for that or building towards that or setting up things so that it would be like that, like making sure that you're doing a job that you love, and if you're not, then doing the mantra having to do with a prosperous mission. You cannot float through life anymore the way we could for centuries. That people would just put their head down and work and then get home and eat and say hello to the kids, go to bed, and next day they get at work, and they seemed like they were okay. We appear to be much unhappier now. We need so much more to be happy, but something has changed. We need something more profound, something deeper, and definitely something spiritual. Your work has to have meaning. So I would say that that would be the first thing you should work on, to make sure that in this collapse on our way towards the new earth, the new world, that you can survive it a little bit more gracefully. So let's go ahead and do, I was going to say the mantra on aligning with prosperous mission. I'm not really sure. You know, I think something really big is going to be happening. So I'm going to make up a mantra now. And the mantra is going to have to do with being flexible. The dolphins told me that one of the most important things today would be to be flexible. With all these changes, it makes sense. If you try to hang on to the past, or you won't let go, and you don't want anything new, and you don't want to experiment with something new, except it's not an experiment. They just took away the old, and the only thing that's left is the new. Being flexible and being willing to let go very quickly. The dolphin said that the people that are going to do well are the people that are going to be able to react quickly, that they're flexible. Okay, that's not working anymore. Are you sure it's not working? It's not working anymore. Okay, let it go. No, but we've had it for so many years. Just let it go. Where are we going now? That type of thing. Let me get a mantra together having to do with that. And I will put the music up first. And I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get the configuration I want, but we'll work with it. And let's do the trilling. We haven't done that for a while. And where is it? No. No. me see if I can get this off screen. Nope. Okay. That you're listening to, the sound of the birds chirping, is called trilling, Trillin. It is a frequency that's recognized in music. It is the sound of the mind strings. It's the sound of those strings. Those are the strings that you create reality with. Those strings are electric. Wi-Fi destroys the strings. The sound of trilling repairs them. So the fact that when I was doing the investigating of the Gran Apagón, which means the big turnoff having to do with sexuality, I did not know that there was a frequency that could repair what was getting broken. I know now. Do you think people are listening to me? Only my followers. We can repair what the microwave Wi-Fi is doing to us. We need sound therapy 24/7. I have this video on. It's 10 hours long, all night long while I'm sleeping. And that way I don't feel guilty about the fact that I have Wi-Fi roaming around my house 24/7. I have Starlink, still Wi-Fi. This repairs it. And then the homeopathy that protects your immune system and builds it up. There are remedies, but we need to know them. I believe the reason we don't know them is because when Wi-Fi came out, the people that put it together, which was the military, by the way, didn't tell people about the ill effects, because it was like the Atlanteans, wow, we're having a lot of fun here. Let's not look at the consequences, and then everything gets destroyed. In this case, we have found remedy. A friend of mine used to tell me that, you're going to find a remedy. And I said, we're not. It's not possible to fix this. She was right. I was wrong. I was too overwhelmed by what I was seeing happening, which now the Japanese government agrees with me. We got to do something about this. I need to read those articles. I need to see what it is that they think that they're going to be able to do. Controlling orgasm, requiring orgasm, this many orgasms a week, or you don't get Social Security. How are they going to do that? A new dating service? I'm telling you, those kids, when I did, that's not even remotely interested in sex. It wasn't a question of who they wanted to have sex with, not even remotely interested in sex. Sex drive gone. So now I'm going to deliver an even more difficult piece of news. The definition of the word sex in the dictionary means to cut, to divide. So you go, that's interesting. What happened with sex on planet Earth? It divided the planet into two, male, female. And then you got gay people. So cut and divide, it's a line, male, female. Then the gays came and they crossed the line. And then the bisexuals came and they crossed back and forth. They didn't just cross the line, they went back and forth. And now we have all sorts of other combinations, which I haven't kept up with. The point of the matter is that that line, that division, is getting erased. And then I'm going to remind you that the part of this new world is an integration of planet Earth with the galactic. Those beings that are not from here, none of them have sexuality. They are not male. They are not female. What's that all about? This planet was cut in two, male, female. And now that line is getting blurred. So that's evolution. But here we go again. Miraculously flexible with world changes. This is a change. And we're going to scream and fight our way through it. Do the mantra a lot. Because it's not just in the arena of sex, it's everything that is going to change. Anyway, we'll be back tomorrow. Who knows what we're going to do? But wait, when you showed up, you look like this, massively depressed, no open eye. Now, after doing mantras and listening to me, this is the way you look. Third eye really open. Words here, it's going to be okay. In other words, maybe some of you understood things and it made you feel like, well, wait a minute, maybe it's not all lost. Maybe it is going to be okay. It will be okay eventually, but we don't have the protection and we haven't had it for 2 or 3 days. That's problematic. Okay, so we'll see you back here and let's see if we work on that tomorrow. Thank you for joining me. Bye. And let's see where the off button is. Not on my mouth, but on